I will start with a first question about your beginnings in film studies. You studied in Moscow at the Film Academy within the Department of Cartoons, from what I understood. And I would like to learn a little bit about your beginnings and the relationship of film to sketch to moving image.
Right. Yeah, it's like if we talk about studying in film academy, I think you would have different image of education I got, because it was very much academical and very classical education for academy which would grow the painters or just a classical academical artist. And films, we were watching films, and we have as a part of the activity this film culture, but this was not a main practice, and I used to draw a lot and I used to paint a lot. And still, I check, the department is still there and education is the same. And even to be cartoon maker also didn't bring me to the field when I was making real cartoons, because mainly what we did, we were trained to find main visual idea for the literature, like fairy tales, novels, stories, whatever. You should convert text into image. And then you make your pictures, and mainly you always have to understand what fit in and what doesn't, so it was not so much about moving. Even I had experience with moving images, but it was just 1 year. One time in 1 year we did a very, very short cartoon each, and after also I was not really practicing this moving images. But this relation was appearing later. For example, first, I was drawing for myself all the time, but first time I used it for video. It was technical. The first series of drawings which I showed appeared technically because it was quite long video piece for half an hour. The length was half an hour, and I decided to divide it into chapters. And the idea was that to make a picture, to make a drawing, and after drawing should be alive, like just when the drawing become the still, and after still become the movement. And at the end, I just use one image at the beginning and one at the end, but I have this bunch of watercolors which become just leftover stuff from this project, and I show them differently. And I like very much. Also, that time I had a show in Russian Museum in St. Pete, and still video is. Again, we were talking about audience, public, and people on the street, and specialists, and their different way to accept. And Russian Museum is a place which is visited mostly by tourists and people not prepared to see video. And I was really happy that I can show the drawings, and I make more drawings on a different subject. And it was enter, because I really wanted to be in a dialogue and in a contact with the viewer. So I use these drawings and I show them. So it's helped me. This relation between moving and still images was realized at that time more than before.
And in fact, this is very interesting, because when I am looking at your drawings, you have a sense of narrativity in them, which an understanding of the classical aspect of the teaching that was done at the time. They look like almost 19th century drawings. Some of them. They make me think sometimes of people like Daumier or Hogarth, also because of the social underpinnings in your work. But at the same time, there is a sense of sequentiality and narrativity, but at the same time there is a great sense, I have the feeling, of montage on the way that things are edited, or the the ellipses in either drawings or moving images. So I would like, if you could say a few words about, given the very strong history of montage theory with people like Eisenstein or Vertov, if you could say a few words about it.
Right. You know, I like and I appreciate very much theories of Eisenstein and his works, of course. And last year I was teaching in summer academy in Salzburg, and we were quite busy with rules and recipes and principles which Eisenstein display for the possible pupils, and or for pupils, I mean for real pupils as well. Because but what I noticed by reading this and watching and soaking his achievements, that very often his theory is made after something happened, coincidentally even. And he puts structure sometimes like from the future to the past, and this is what many let's say creators doing. And also I trust very much to the moment and to the scene, which is I mean some cutting or this strict montage and very dramatic elements, they just happen because, and this is just a situation like, for example, his famous smoke in Броненосец Потёмкин. I'm sorry, I can translate his famous film. And actually, you use the word ellipsis, and
yes.
this is very I mean it's a very important word for me, and I love it. And at the time when Eisenstein came back to Soviet Union from America, he was really attached to the films by Davzhenko with his elliptic montage.
Yes.
And I would say I really like Eisenstein, but I love Davzhenko more, because it's really for me pieces which are like a planet, and they can I mean they also have ideology, very strong aspect, but it looks like Eisenstein always tried to use you and convince you, and you become his material, and Davzhenko working with you more as a I don't know, more friendly and more sincerely, and as a I mean as a film atmosphere. But there are many details. I mean, I love Earth of Davzhenko, and I can talk alone about, but it's not the subject now.